All right, let's do a quick audio test here. Audio test 1, 2. All right, coming through loud and clear. All right, without further ado, let's hop right in. So today we got the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo Day 9 with Anvil Aerospace. Now, what's not on the show floor but is new is the Anvil. God, I think I should have remembered that. What do they call it? The Paladin. I got it up on my secondary monitor here. So, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, it's very similar in profile from the front and partially from the sides, especially from like the 45s to the Terrapin, or the not the Terrapin, the dropship Valkyrie. That's the one. So very similar to the Valkyrie in terms of appearance. What is going on here? Oh, I think it's because I'm... Nice, I was still on my second monitor. Doy. Well, if there was any doubt that it was live, this intro should let you know. But yeah, the Paladin actually looks quite nice. Now, I wasn't sure. I wasn't following the leaks too carefully, so if this was already kind of teased or leaked, then I'm behind the 8 ball there. But I wasn't sure if the new gunship from Anvil was going to be straight to flyable or if it was going to be a concept. So it seems that they've gone the concept route, which means unless they've released any information on that, I genuinely don't know any ETA. I'd have to look kind of more into it. Given that now that CIG's kind of built out a lot of components for ship manufacturers, it does make things easier. So a brand new ship manufacturer, they have to create all the assets from scratch, right? So the MFDs, the styling, the panels, the shape, what have you, right? Canopies. But when using a existing manufacturer, and especially if they have ships very similar in appearance, design, and functionality or components, they can steal across and reuse. That's why, once they built the Idris, the Javelin's interior was basically just utilizing the same kind of style guide, and that's why they, can share assets across. Same thing with the RSI Polaris. I suspect that we'll see that, the inside of Bengals and things like that and other big RSI ships, once we have them, whether it's for purchase in the store or just acquirable in-game, I suspect that will look very similar. So, I have no idea how long it's going to take them to get the Paladin out. It does look like a nice ship, and its crew size seems to be decent at around 4. I say around 4 because if I pop over here, you have your pilot, co-pilot, and then right below them they actually have the 2 remote seats. And it has remote turrets on it. I don't think it actually has any manned positions there. So, yeah, 1 pilot, 3 gunners. It's a nice looking ship, honestly. I kind of like the Valkyrie. The only thing I thought about the Valkyrie when I've seen it in game ever since its release is it's like, and it's supposed to be, but it's kind of fat. It's quite wide because it's meant to hold an Ursa rover and many soldiers on the inside, as well as pack a bit of a wallop. So once it drops people off, it can act as a overwatch for them. Where the Paladin now is a little slender in comparison, but packs a bit of a wallop because it has 1 size 5 remote turret, but that's quad size 5, so that's a quite the wallop that can pack. And then 2 size 4 dual turrets on the sides, so it's considerable in its firepower um, for this size ship and crew, and it has, like, all the amenities you'd expect, like a crew quarters and all that jazz. The inside looks quite nice, and like I said, given that they can share across and they've already kind of got it so far along, I'm hoping we'll see it in the not too distant future, but I genuinely don't know when we will see that. It also has 6 size 4 missile racks, so that's pretty substantial. Put in perspective, the Harbinger carries size 5 torpedoes, so just like, that's going to pack a wallop. 53 meters by 38 meters and 14 meters or 14.5 high. But we'll continue discussing that in a moment. Let's just go and look at what they got in the Apex Hall today. So as we can see, we got the Carrack, we got the Terrapin and the Terrapin Medic, the F7C Mark II, the F7A Mark II, and then the 2 newbies, the F7CR Hornet Mark II, which is your tracker variant, and then the F7CS Mark II, which is your Ghost. Hall 2, we got our Hurricane Hawk, C8X Pisces, C8R Pisces Gladiator Arrow. And then we got the Spartan, F7C Lightning, and Valkyrie in 3. And then down below, we got our Paladin, which is kind of cool. We'll be able to see it in there. Liberator, Legionnaire, Crucible, Centurion, and Ballista. So we got quite a bit on the show floor today. We'll start downstairs, since we're already talking about the Valkyrie and the Liberator. And so we might as well head down there and check out the lower deck with our hollow viewers first. Then we'll come up and do the halls, and then we'll save the big one in the center here for last. Let's just pull up this so I can see if any chats are done, so I can actually respond to them. I admittedly was hoping that we'd actually have it in game, because I was looking forward to utilizing it, but that's totally fair. So we got the Centurion here. The Centurion is your anti-air platform, but well, it can be used on anything, but it's predominantly an anti-air platform in the laser style rather than a missile platform. So, built on Anvil's popular Atlas platform, the Centurion presents a tactical solution for short-range anti-aircraft operations. Thanks to the Centurion's custom energy-based AA turret, your forces can establish ground superiority by assuring immediate threats from above are dealt with quickly and efficiently. So, you've got up front, the driver has access, or maybe it's the gunner, and to be honest with you, I've never utilized one of these. But it does have a kind of small weapon system for defending against attacking ground forces. And then you got your AA repeater here. The co-pilot, the gunner, if you will sit in there. And then you have your driver up front, component access on the inside, all that jazz, like your weapon stowage, what you'd expect. It's kind of built on the same, as it says, Atlas platform. So you'll notice a lot of ships have a similar, or a lot of ground vehicles have that similar front end. And we have the Ballista, which is the missile version of what we just saw there. So a little longer range, but obviously much more limited in terms of rounds. Keep your airspace clear of dangers with the Anvil Ballista. Originally designed to defend outposts from Vandal attacks, this mobile missile defense system packs a powerful loadout, allowing the Ballista to stand firm against any threat, whether it arrives by air or land. I like how it also has that, so you can climb up on top. Right now it's not functional, but I really hope it does become. And you can see the inside is very, very similar. The difference on the other Atlas platform is that this carries on back and you have like a troop transport. And of course this platform can be used for like a build variant in the future or whatever else they need. And I suspect we'll end up seeing that as a like fob builder, so that the UAE, ground forces would use that to roll up and build a quick little, forward operating base. Got the Crucible, which is your rearm repair vessel. It has the ability to rearm larger ships with arms that come off, as well as on that back end there's like a bay that things can land, like smaller ships. So the so-called flying toolbox, the Crucible is Anvil Aerospace first dedicated repair ship, featuring a rotating control bridge and a detachable pressurized workspace. The Crucible is a versatile mobile garage equipped with repair arms, a drone operations center, and all equipment needed to overhaul a damaged craft back into fighting shape. So the other thing like it mentions there is this whole back section here can detach so that the front can leave it in the event that it needs to, so that you could have one ship being repaired in there by the crew that's left in the detachable pod, and the remainder of the people can be going over and repairing other vessels as it's out and about, or maneuvering away as necessary for whatever reason that they've detached for, whether it be safety or otherwise. I'm really looking forward to ships like this coming out, like the Vulcan and other repair ships, because right now with the current mechanics, there's the soft death, but it's really a fake soft death based on, if look at the maximum HP of a ship. Once you've reached to 90%, it goes to soft death. If you keep shooting at it, it goes to like 100% and blows up. That's a temporary measure. And right now, if a ship does go soft death, there's nothing you can do other than towing it or salvaging it. And even then, if you towed it back, I don't know if you can repair it. So that's not going to be the way it's going to be eventually. Eventually, repair is going to be worked on in the way that as your ship is functioning, there will go through normal wear and tear. And so this normal wear and tear will be things like, general aesthetic wear and tear, where the panels and paint might get scraped off, as you go there, and dings and dents and scratches and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of character to the ship, but you can always buff those out and pay to keep them very nice. So if you're thinking like Origin style ships. And then there's also going to be the things like, when you're in the Polaris and an engine can shear off, like it can now, except there will be a greater effect on the ship's performance when that happens. But internally on the ship, even for smaller ones, components and fuses will fail. Fuses in particular, for normal wear and tear, will have to be replaced periodically because they run a lot of current that go through them. And so every once in a while on voyages, your engineer might have to go through. And if you have 3 fuses in one of the fuse boxes, you might find one of them is red. So you replace it. Yeah, you can run with only one in each if you were in a pinch and running low. Like let's say you had one with 2 and one with 1, and the one with 1 blurred out. You could take one of the ones from the one with 2, so you'd have 1 in each. But that's running a risk, so I would almost always run 3 of them in each fuse box, so that way I'd always have, redundancy. The other thing that'll happen is periodically the integrity of components, even if you're not in combat. Let's say you're a hauler and you're not doing anything. You're something like this where you're not engaged in direct combat. You're just rolling around in this, repairing other people. Well, periodically, your components will take wear and tear, like your engines, the gravity drive, your shield generators, because they're in continued use, so their integrity will decrease. So periodically, you'll have to go through and use your repair tool with some RMC and stuff like that and repair your components and bring them up to snuff. And if you're using general hand tools, you probably can only bring it up to like 90%. Or maybe 80% if you're using more specialized things, like instead of the, pyro multi-tool, if you're using like a dedicated repair tool, maybe bring it up to 90. The multi-tool only brings it to like 75 or something. And then ships like this can bring it right up to 100% or landing at a landing zone or what have you. And there'll also be things like the way a soft death will occur is that enough of the ship's systems, whether it be fuses have blown out or components have been damaged beyond repair, and you no longer have redundant systems. So a ship with like 3 shield generators, once your last shield generator is down, obviously you no longer have shields. So the same kind of thing. Once enough systems have been damaged, enough fuses have been blown, and enough of the subcomponents have been damaged, you no longer have the ability to operate this vessel anymore until it is repaired. And so these kind of ships are really interesting to me, right? We have the mileage gameplay, we have the salvage gameplay, but we really don't have a repair gameplay. Even though we have a bit of refueling and you can do some RMC and repair, this and the migration from our, faked soft death and damage system to a more physicalized one is something I am very much looking forward to. It's going to, drastically change how the game is played. This is another cool little ship that I'm looking forward to. This is your essentially boarding ship. It's not going to be massive, but the idea is that it's going to be able to take off from like your, Polaris or your, Javelin. It's going to race over at the other ship, latch onto a board or like a docking collar, and then they're going to breach through a hacking gameplay and get in. So with the Legionnaire, when the operation calls for a hostile takeover of an enemy vehicle or station, the Anvil Legionnaire is ready to report for duty with 8 drop seats, versatile docking options, and an advanced security infiltration system. Even the most difficult boarding action is feasible with the Legionnaire in your fleet. Because hacking gameplay is also going to be another thing for that. That's something else I'm looking forward to. Not only for just the boarding operations, but cyber warfare. So there is ships specifically that are meant for cyber warfare, and that's like your Sentinel from the Vanguard series. And I look forward to when cap ships are being hacked or attempting to be hacked by things like the Sentinel doing E-War, and then a dedicated member on your ship is like counter hacking or working with other members of your crew to kind of insulate your systems as best as possible. Then we have the Liberator. Now this is basically like a space hovercraft, right? Like, if you think about the United States military, they have those hovercrafts that they can transport vehicles from the landing craft and like LCSs or whatever to the shore. Well, this can transport ground and space vehicles, and it's a neat little platform there. Now, I think it was originally planned to come with 4.0, but that's not the case. Obviously, things have shifted, but this ship is really quite neat. So Anvil continues its tradition of excellence with the Liberator, an open-air vehicle carrier design with the same quantum drive and long-distance capabilities of military spec carriers and Pathfinders, but tailored to the civilian market. The Liberator is the ideal carrier to put your fleet on the front line of any operation. With this ship, it's actually really cool. So in addition to it being basically a small pocket carrier, I would think about it as like, if you're transporting like myself, let's say I live on Stanton, right? And then as the game comes out, I want to start transporting my ships and everything to Terra. And rather than going through the process we do now with claiming, because obviously insurance claims are going to slightly change as the game goes on, becoming less and less viable as a default action for just migrating ships. Like, yeah, if you lose it, sure enough, but if you're just simply moving from one location to another, simply claiming and waiting is no longer going to be a viable option. If you have custom upgrades, you've gotten this ship fairly well, spec'd out, you're probably not going to want to claim it and start from scratch. So with that, you can put a bunch of them on here. Like, I think you got 2 spots up top and 1 down here, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, you could plop those down. You can put some ground vehicles on the inside or other very small, like, your Furies and whatever. And then you can transport these, with relative safety, because this thing is, capable of defending itself. Maybe escort it with a hammerhead or whatever, just for good measure. But neat little concept there. It can also be used as a kind of a fleet tender to help supply, like let's say you have Polaris, right, and you're not rocking a big Idris, then you have an opportunity to still have greater ship capability transport-wise than a single vessel that would be inside the Polaris. All right, and finally, well, that's a lie. That is most certainly the Crucible again. But we can read the brief on it. Designed by Anvil Aerospace, the Paladin is an intimidating frontline fight that makes a bold impact whenever it arises in battle. Whether it's executing a dangerous operation or leading the charge against overwhelming odds, with its powerful array of targeted weapons and ordnance, the Paladin is ready to ride to the rescue. Yeah, that's definitely the Crucible again. Oh well. So let's head into Hall 3, Hall 2, and then we'll come back into the main hall and round out today's expo. I'm on a little later than I would normally be. I took the opportunity today to do a little bit of nothing. So I was just watching The Rookie most of the day. I was on DOJ a little bit this morning, but other than that, I was taking an opportunity to relax. But then I was like, well, I probably should get on and make the video because, you know, I've covered every other day and stop being so lazy. So here we are. So we'll save the pièce de résistance with the new Hornets, then the Terrapin Medic specifically. And the Carrack is a wonderful ship as well. Cool thing about the Carrack, actually, they're finally adding the armored canopy and the cargo doors to open up, so cargo transport is much more viable now. With the, not that it's meant to be a dedicated cargo hull, but it's much more viable now as an option. Like, let's say that's the ship you have, now you can actually use it for cargo in the interim. Let's see, the Spartan. F8 Lightning, and the Valk. So the F8 Lightning is the current space superiority fighter for the UAE Navy. It's also, due to its extremely tanky hull HP and its decent all-round weapon options, it's a fine dogfighter, as you can imagine. Few vehicles employed by the proud men and women who serve the Empire's Navy inspire the awe of the legendary F8 Lightning. A force to be reckoned with, the F8 has secured humanity's freedom from numerous threats at home and abroad countless times. Now, that same next-generation space superiority fighter is available to become part of your personal fleet with the Anvil F8C civilian light variant. So, a very nice ship. If you have played Star Citizen for any length of time and you've been involved in any previous events that had golden tickets and you've redeemed that, or you still have a golden ticket in your inventory and you redeem it now, and I'd recommend doing that because it'll be wiped by 4.0 if you don't redeem it, you will be eligible to purchase one of these on the store. It's a very limited offer ship. Only Chairman's Club, who've reached the appropriate rank, or golden ticket holders have access to this. So that's that base platform I was talking about with the Atlas platform, the Troop Transport Spartan, built on Anvil's robust Atlas platform, the same chassis used for their devastating ballista air defense system, and the other one there as well. The Spartan is a fully armored transport outfitted with 8 jump seats. The Spartan's rugged frame makes it perfect for all kinds of terrains, and its remote Gatling turret helps clear the area for easier deployment. So it's got dual barrels up there, and it's got 8 jump seats. You can exit through the back, through the port on this side, or your starboard on this side. So that way, if the enemy's on the left side of the vehicle, you can come out the right. And if the enemy's on the other side, you can go opposite or out the rear, depending on what's best. But instead of having the 2 crew, it only has the 1 crew place. So the driver also operates the defensive system there. Finally, in this hall, we have the Valkyrie. Let's go read the little blurb. This is your drop ship. And like I said, it shares a lot of similarities with the Paladin in terms of aesthetics. But it's a bit wider and taller, I think. The Valkyrie ups the ante on troop transport designed to carry up to 20 soldiers as well as vehicles. To the most hostile locations, this conflict-ready mil-spec craft is a formidable force, both offensively and defensively. Built with military and private defense contractors in mind, the Valkyrie is one of the most efficient and effective personal transports in its class. So, it's got a man turret on the bottom, a man turret on top. It's got the 4 pilot-operated guns. It's got a remote turret on the starboard that we can see here, and another one on the port controlled by seats right behind the pilot. It also has these, I don't know if it'll let me open it from down here. We'll open it from the inside. It also has got those 2 doors there, one on each side. You can see here that it obviously can fit a sizable vehicle, up to and including like the Ursas and stuff like that. Might even be able to fit that new tank as well. The smaller one. It also has heavy machine guns that can be deployed for use by individuals, like, you know, that are being transported before they jump down. And you can see there's a little tiny step there that allows them to kind of jump down and to get back up nicely. They've put on the prompts to be able to climb. Other than that, you have a ladder that goes up to where the crew operates, and then you have your jump seats. So 5, 10, access to the lower turret, 15, 20. If we then climb up the ladder, we have the washroom, and then you got 2 bunks on this side, 2 bunks on that side. Tiny little food/water prep area. The El Capitan / pilot, and then your top gunner. Coming forward, you have your remote gunner on the starboard and then port, respectively. And then finally, your pilot seat. So, nice ship. Quite a bit of guns, good arcs of fire. It does fulfill its role very well. Move on to the other hull. Obviously doesn't fit one of the Spartans or other Atlas platform vehicles because they're massive, but you can fit them in things like your M2, C2. You can technically fit a couple into the A2, except you wouldn't be able to drive on, drive off as easily because of the big Moabs. I'll head over to Hull 2, and then finally finish up Hull 1. Alright, so we got a little mismatch in here. So you first have the Hawk. This is designed to be a bounty hunting ship. A single person operates. Does not have an interior. Basically, that hatch opens up and a seat drops down. It's actually a nice looking ship and has a decent amount of firepower for what it does. The neatest part about it actually is at the back here. There is, I don't know if I can get it open, but this actually opens up. Oh, there it is. And you can store a prisoner on a little prisoner pod once you've gotten them in there and close. And it actually used to be a seat. I didn't know they changed that. And then you have your Hurricane, which is kind of like a dedicated heavy fighter. We'll first read little blurbs, though. A small light fighter with an emphasis on weaponry, the Hawk boasts an impressive arsenal of lethal and non-lethal weapons, making it the perfect ship for independent bounty hunters or local security looking for a little more punch. What it means by the non-lethal is you can have weapons, like it's these ones in particular. Yes, the disruption cannons. So these sucker punches here, what they'll do is they'll zap the shields and they'll actually zap the energy of the ship, forcing it that if it's doing a low flyby, you can literally force it to gracefully crash, or if it's high enough up, you know, catastrophically crash into the ground, so that you can then approach on foot and deal with the occupant, because it actually is quite the effect and lasts not an insignificant amount of time. The Hurricane, on the other hand, big things do come in small packages. The Hurricane is a fighting spacecraft that packs a deadly punch into its slight fuselage. I think it meant to mean light fuselage. The spacecraft compensates for its lack of creature comforts with its powerful armament, 6 guns capable of blasting their way through nearly anything. Hurricane pilots have yet to find an enemy shield that it can't knock down. And I don't doubt it, it's got quite a bit of firepower.
If I had the credits, I'd probably get one of these for myself. I don't know. I don't think this is as good as some of their other work.
That's cool. Never actually used this ship. Gunner actually sits in like the seat back here. Neato. I have a lot of ships, but I don't have them all, so it's always nice for me, even on these shows. I get to come and see some things that I've not seen previously. You got your Pisces. Technically, there's more versions of the Pisces. They just have 2 of them right now, the C8 and the C8X. Oh, sorry, the C8X and the C8R, I'm assuming then. So, sporting more guns and a limited edition livery, the C8X Pisces Expedition turns the stout snub into a perfectly viable standalone exploration vessel. With its compact frame, deft maneuverability, and seating for 3, the Pisces Expedition is ready to take on its own adventures. So the base Pisces has the 2 front weapons, but doesn't have these 2 wings, or vice versa, I can't remember, but 2 of the ones, whether it's the 2 wings or the 2 at the front here, are missing. In addition, it has the unique livery that you see here, which may or may not matter for some. And then, of course, it's got its jump seats. The inside is almost identical across the C8 and the C8X, but this one definitely has bigger weapons, or more of them anyway. C8R is our Medivac version. With the addition of an on-board Tier 3 medical bed, the C8R Pisces can treat minor injuries and keep patients stable while transporting them to the safety of a larger ship station or nearby medical facility, making it an invaluable asset for short-range search and rescue, which is 100% accurate. These things are great. So, yeah, it has the front guns. It doesn't have the turret guns, so I would assume that it's the turret guns that are added on that one. In the back of this one, they have, obviously, component access kind of move rearward, because you have a wonderful medical center, complete with the medical assistant terminal and a jump seat for your actual medic. And then Gladiator is a bomber. Civilian model of the Gladiator appeals to those who want to explore the verse with a bit of added security. Supporting a maximum of 2, the Gladiator is perfectly equipped to explore and fight without a wingman. The civilian model allows pilots to choose between extra cargo hold or a bomb bay. And it's got some pretty decent weapons, as you can see. And it's nice looking. Honestly, the Gladiator is one of my preferred craft in terms of looks. Now, the Arrow is a super nimble ship that, you know, is quite good at dogfighting. Even though it's very light, it's super fast, hard to hit, because it's a low profile. Unmatched design, blazing top speeds, and ultra-responsive maneuverability make the Aero the most agile scrapper in its class. With robust weapons package that provides firepower to spare, this is truly the classic light fighter, updated for the next generation of combat.
Yeah. Is he wanting to buy something like this?
Seeing it in person is a lot different than I imagined.
Tobin Expo Center would like to invite everyone to join in and help keep our halls looking their best for every guest. Please be sure to keep track of all your belongings and deposit any waste in the appropriate receptacles. Thanks!
And we're going to start with the medical terrapin because I'm biased. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Babbage's Tobin Expo Center, Stanton's preeminent destination for live events and exhibitions.
So we'll read before we hop in, but a really nice little ramp there to move people in and out. Maintaining the famed toughness of the original Terrapin, Anvil designers have crafted an optimal vehicle for rescue operations with the Terrapin Medic. Featuring a Tier 2 medical bed, the Terrapin Medic can extract injured parties from even the most hazardous situations thanks to its powerful armor and shielding.
Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Please take care of reviewing the vehicles on display. Remember, they're here for everyone's enjoyment.
Honestly, perfect craft to, role play the, oh, that's cool. You got a jump seat. Nice for the actual medic on board. I wish they had more because I like the idea of role playing the trauma teams. Nice. Now, one thing that's cool is obviously it's got all the lights and it flashes and all that jazz, but in particular,
Manufacturer makes all of these.
I can see why some people love this style.
Helping keep the Empire safe for all of us. The latest crafts from Anvil Aerospace are ready to inspire a new generation of warriors to take to the skies.
I was hoping to deploy the armor,
So excited.
Looking around,
but I don't know the
looks like a lot
button.
of people are enjoying themselves.
I've been waiting so long.
Apparently not. But this actually has a little deployable armor that encapsulate the cockpit there.
Friendly reminder that the Tobin Expo Center is a STEM-free environment.
It's quite nice.
Enjoy your visit and have an amazing day.
Probably gonna pick that up. And you got my favorite dogfighter, the F7A Mark II. Now this was acquirable if you participated in the what do they call it? It was not the Xenothreat event, Overdrive Initiative. So Xenothreat was an event that takes place the last few years over the Fleet Week, which is in May. And this year they had the Overdrive Initiative, which was a series of phases similar to what we're doing now with Save Stanton, leading up to the Xenothreat event and then the Xenothreat event. If you completed all phases, you got a token that allows you to upgrade a F7C Mark II into an F7A, which does mean you needed to buy an F7C Mark II, but then you could acquire this beautiful ship. And I love this thing. It is fantastic. It wrecks. 2 size 4, 4 size 3, 8 size 2 missiles. It's nice. Anyway, now that I'm done ogling, ushering a new age of space superiority, the Anvil Aerospace has re-engineered the celebrated Hornet for the next generation of fighter combat, purpose-built for the UEE Navy. The F-7A Hornet Mark II maintains the spirit of the original while incorporating even more powerful offensive capabilities, and it certainly does. Now, one of the new offers that we have is the Tracker and the Ghost. And that takes the F7C chassis and puts this one being a super stealthy version that has lower emissions, emission absorbing, paint, and like slightly less powerful because it comes stock with all the stealth components, which are less powerful than their, say, military counterparts, but are purpose built to have lower signatures so that you can kind of creep around. Still rocking the size 4 guns, but minus everything else, though you can put additional weapons on the higher points. You just have to mount them in there, which can increase your signature both in terms of cross section and all that jazz. So when approaching the Mark II design for the F7CS Hornet Ghost, the engineers at Anvil Aerospace wanted to preserve the what pilots loved about the low emission drives, low draw weapons, and void armor technology of the original, but refine them to a higher level of performance for a whole new era of space operations. So if we do this and then we go up, so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like
Actually, I might stay for a while, do another
on the
video just to
top.
make sure I didn't miss anything.
Very cool. And you can get the same look for the Tracker. This one obviously has a big ball radar.
Stay aware of your surroundings and keep an eye on your belongings at all times.
So the Tracker, while seeking the next gen or great front, or let's try that again in English. When seeking the next great frontier, who better to trust than the next generation Pathfinder? The F7CR Hornet Tracker Mark II boosts an overhauled radar suite, ideal for deep space explorers who require depth and accuracy in their scan packages. So these look quite nice. I really like the sleekness of the Mark IIs. Even the base package over here. Straight from the front lines to your personal hangar, the re-engineered F7C Mark II, Hornet Mark II takes the latest battlefield upgrades and makes them available to private pilots across the Empire. The fighter features an improved power system utilized by an overhauled weapon and missile package. So these are very nice. I love the way that this has like a store all box for cargo, but I really love how these look. Now, the original Terrapin actually got a little bit of love, including that deployable armor on it as well. If you'll excuse me one moment, I'll be right back.
I've seen enough of these. Go on ahead, that's fine. I'll catch up with you later.
Gathering the latest and greatest from manufacturers across the empire. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is where spaceship enthusiasts come to take flight. Attention visitors to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo.
All right, we're right back. I had not even gonna try to hide it. I had a massive itch on my back and I couldn't reach it, so I had to go over and grab something, anything to reach that spot. It was driving me up the wall. Anyway, we're back. We're going to take a look at that terrapin. As I said, this one has had a little bit of guzzying up in terms of the aesthetics. Kind of a refresh when they did the new one, including the addition of that armor. So when we get up inside, hopefully I can also deploy that. Presenting Anvil Aerospace U-4A3 Terrapin-class scanning exploration ship. The Terrapin was developed near the end of the 28th century to serve as the first ship in Empire's defensive restructuring of the Navy. The Terrapin's watchword is protection, with extensive shield systems and an armor layers designed to provide the maximum possible defense for pilot and crew. While it lacks the maneuverability of a dedicated fighter, it does maintain an advanced, hard-hitting array of weapons intended to keep the most fearsome Vandal at bay. All right, so coming up inside, it has the dedicated scanning station. It's got its bed, bathroom, component access, all that jazz. But hopefully we can deploy that armor. There we go.
I've been waiting so long to see one of these.
I feel that's silly. Hey, CIG, if you ever end up watching my videos, I think you missed an opportunity here to allow that to showcase. I think that alone would get people that might have been on the fence to buy it. So I think you grossly missed the mark there. Like, normally I'm not as critical, but that's a very silly oversight not to have. I mean, there's always a few little things at the IAE that aren't always perfect, like can't get into the Starfarers and stuff like that. But if you were already going to redevelop this and have it ready for the show, and same thing with the Carrack, like, I know it's coming in 4.0, but to not have these doors openable and the armored cockpit, I think, is a bit of a oversight. But anyway, Anvil Carrack adventure calls with the Anvil Aerospace answers with the Carrack, built to endure extreme conditions in both space and atmosphere. This self-sustaining explorer may be more than earned its long-standing status as the go-to pathfinder for both military and civilian service. Wow, I butchered that totally, but basically it's a dedicated military and now available to the civilian market explorer. This is an excellent ship. If you're looking for a ship with decent crew gameplay, that, you know, exploring is the name of the game for you, then this is the one to do it. Up front here, we have a wonderful vehicle bay. While this might sound silly, my favorite feature, so that people at the door don't have to worry about someone flying up here and smacking into it if they're going too fast. But you can see here there is, you know, this area can be used to store, I would say, immediate use cargo for specifically your deployable vehicle, or you're just quickly taking on before you get things situated. On the side here, we do have the service ladder that accesses the remainder of the decks. So in the event that power's out or for whatever reason you have to utilize the ladder, you have access to it right then and there. Coming forward, we also have the main elevator to the remainder of the ship and your primary docking collar. I guess your only docking collar, but you know, your primary method of entry in space. Complete with the fact that this will eventually be like an actual depressurizing, because when engineering comes online and venting atmosphere comes in, you'll have to actually do that. In here, these will eventually, you know, the elevators allow you to go up and down from the cargo pod to the catwalk, but these doors will actually eventually open in 4.0. Like I said, I know they're coming in 4.0, which is very close. Don't get me wrong, it's at the end of the year, but it would have been very nice for them to have this feature in so that people could kind of see that and conceptualize. I feel like a lot of people would hold off buying this ship for that reason alone, because right now there isn't a lot you can do with exploration, and unless you have a dedicated crew that can always man all the different turrets and stations, this ship is rather useless if not using the flight deck and the cargo bay. And if you're already going to spend about this much, you might as well go for the Polaris at that point, because it's fully working, which is a shame, because that leaves this ship in a bit of a spot. So I'm very much looking forward to when the doors can open up, because that'll breathe new life into this wonderful ship. Now, one of the things I really like back here is the weapons locker. Lockers. I love how they kind of just slide right out there. So obviously this is an excellent little spot for your crew to come before departing on a mission. It's got all the storage that they'll need, including your rear turret. So if we enter this, so this one's got a nice rear turret. It's got a remote turret up top, and it's got a remote, or sorry, a man turret on either of those. So it's got pretty good all-round fire. But if we move back forward here, in the center we actually have open. There we go. We're on the sub deck, so first we'll head up to the habitation deck. On the habitation deck, coming off, we have the medical bay, which features 2 recovery beds and a tier 2 bed, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So a tier 2 bed, so it can repair moderate injuries while on the go, or at least stabilize a severely injured patient, and then you have the ability for other people to recover and be monitored. You have a, very nice storage room, an office for your doctor / medical officer, and potentially their support staff. Decontamination little thing there with a double door to help seal the medical bay for patient safety. You have your first entrance in the ladder. There's no, obviously additional space for it to go up top. And then we have another elevator there. That was the one we kind of saw when we were in the vehicle bay. We have our salon and galley, essentially. Plus a really nice window so that, when you're here, you can be enjoying the views while also enjoying a meal with your compadres. Windows that lead into the center here. And then you have a nice little rec area with a nice set of bathrooms so that people don't have to trudge through the mess hall or the crew quarters. And then you actually have a very nice crew quarters with 2, 4, and 5 bunks. Nice coach. And once again, more bathing space. Moving forward, we also have the captain's quarters here on the port side. And this is really nice. So, in addition to, the lovely table, you also have these, deployable screens, which is cool. You have your own window. Plenty of storage space, but also a nice bunk, plenty of storage, and your own ensuite. So, quite nice. And then finally, coming out, we have the bridge, which has its own actual elevator, as you can see here. Component access. I really like how that kind of opens up. In this area, you have your 3 seats, and once they get in, you can kind of see the visibility on this thing is fantastic. So you really can, you know, get a wonderful, you know, view of where you're at. And when the I've seen some 4.0 footage in the EPTU where they've deployed the armor plates, and then you just have this small little viewport in the front, so you feel very, very snug and secure if you are end up, you know, in a situation where you might need that little extra protection.
Manufacturers across the empire. The
So we're
intergalactic
going to use this one to take us up to the observation. So up here, you have some remote seats, you have a holo globe, and then you have a remote piloting station. And this remote piloting station allows you to, from up here, do the... I probably wouldn't fly the ship entirely from here, but, you know, the last minute adjustments as you're coming in from up here. Moving aft, we have our escape pods, and then we get into the technical deck. And it's kind of color schemed appropriately for that. So on the right-hand side, we have our workshop. This is going to be able to help us with fabricating and repairing components. On the opposite side, so coming onto the starboard side, we have our drone bay. So there's a seat on each side, and then the drones kind of come out of here. So they'll end up living here and here. They'll drop down and enter into these pods here, and then these pods open up to the exterior. So you have these two drones. These drones will be able to assist with exploring, defense, you know, repair, depending on how you outfit them and all that jazz. That's the elevator that we've seen, so we're on the top floor there, and of course the ladder is over here. Here's where I was saying about having 3 fuses, right? If you only have 2 and one of them burns out, one will be red, one will be green, and then you need to replace. But if you have 3, one burns out, it's not a big deal right away. This is kind of cool. You can control, this acts as your air traffic control.
This is a friendly reminder to stay aware of your surroundings and keep an eye on your belongings at all times.
And the Pisces kind of meant to partner with this perfectly. Moving aft on the port side, though you could have chosen any. You kind of enter the hangar bay. The only thing this I think would need is an air shield, though you could just vent this space and have everyone that needs to be in here at the time they need it to be. We have the elevator there, which will take a minute, but we're going to come over here. This is how you get to those turrets. So we're entering the starboard side here. And if we use this and go third person, there we go. I see it entered, and then the turret kind of pushes away, and not an significant amount. So you have great arcs of fire. And really good visibility too.
Find a new favorite? Then why not take it for a test run? Many of the vehicles on display at this year's IAE are conveniently available to rent.
Another year, another IAE. Not sure why I keep coming to these.
Seems like it's going to be a great show this year.
And the same obviously mirrored on the other side. But this is your engineering terminal. And further back, we actually have our engineering section.
Please refrain during your visit and have an amazing day.
So you have a little ladder here that'll take you to the lower section. But there's also stuff to access up here. As you can see, some components at the aft, as well as a ladder. But we will take the elevator. Now coming out into here, we have additional component access, including fuel tanks. And then all the components are accessed along the lower side, as well as access to the engines from underneath.
Safe for all of us. The latest crafts from Anvil Aerospace are ready to inspire a new generation of warriors to take to the skies.
And that's that other side there. And finally, we actually have a nice little treat on the very top. Hopefully you didn't read that, because it'll give it away. So coming up here, we have stellar cartography. So you actually have a huge hollow globe that you and your crew can come up to and plot your course. You can use this station, which will then, enable you to use scanning and then pinpoint stuff. Right now, it's kind of more for show, and there's not much to do with it. But I am very much excited for this. Come on board. This alone is one reason why you might want to get this ship as your Pathfinder. In addition to that, if we come out on either side, we have escape pods, so that if you're up here, you can do so. But we also have suit storage, because you can come in here, seal up the doors, and then you can actually enter the deck. And this allows you to operate on the top and repair or what have you, act as your EVA station, which is nice because, as I mentioned in some of the other videos, having access to the top of the ship means that you can do repairs on a planet in gravity without worrying about how you're going to get up there or risking some, janky maneuver to do so. But that is that, and with that we actually finish up the day. So this was day 9 of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and that was the Anvil Aerospace. There is, like I said, the Liberator, or sorry, not the Liberator, the Paladin on the website. So if you are interested in finding a little bit more about that, go ahead and check it out. As with everything, you can acquire all of these things in-game with some hard work, time, and money, or assistance from friends. So don't feel, obligated to go and spend something crazy. However, if you have the extra cash on hand and you want to support the game at a, greater degree and pay a little more, there's no shame in that. Some people will give you flack for only buying a little bit. Why aren't you supporting it more? Some people give you flack for spending too much. Like, why bother, getting on the cash cow? Like, I've heard people ragging on everyone for everything. Do what makes you happy, providing that you can afford it. So, as today is Saturday and the 30th, we're almost at the end here. So, tomorrow we'll hop on. There'll be the best in show, which every year it's the top ships that were utilized or voted upon or, seen and noticed as kind of the top contenders. And they'll have special liveries. If you're an owner, you automatically get that livery. And then on Monday onward till Friday, so Monday, Tuesday's 3rd, Wednesday's 4th, Thursday's the 5th. So not quite till Friday. Then you have the finale, which means all ships will be rentable. So if you did miss a particular day, like you're looking to test out that Polaris or any of the other ships from any of the other manufacturers, the finale is an opportunity to come back in and try it before you buy it. At the conclusion of this, if you are new to Star Citizen and you haven't had an opportunity to, see how things work, at the conclusion of this, many of the ships that are on the show floor right now will still be available, but also equally, many will not. And so there are ships that are available year-round, but there are certainly limited ships. Some of them are super limited, like the Anvil and the Javelin, which are only available in 3 waves on their respective days. Some ships are only available during special occasions like Invictus Launch Week, which is in May, or the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, which is in November. Some ships are even more rare, where they're only available for certain promotions. So if there's something that's available currently that you're really passionate about, and you have the money to do so, pick it up before the 5th. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed and have to wait till May at the earliest. And keeping in mind, May is specifically for military ships. So if the ship you want is more of an industrial ship, you'd have to wait until next November to pick it up. With one caveat being, the release of a ship generally heralds the sale of said ship. So the Pioneer, for example, something that's coming in the next 12 months, if it does come before the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, the day it's released, or the period of time that's released, generally will have a ship sale if it doesn't fall on one of those special occasions, though they normally time big ships like that for special occasions. But just keep that in mind. But I hope you enjoyed this episode here. I'm going to hop off for the night, and I will see you all tomorrow for Best in Show. So, bye.